Hi guys, it's Sherry. Today we are going to be playing with some shells and clay. And I made a pair of earrings and I thought they came out so beautiful that I really wanted to do a quick tutorial for you guys and show you what I did. So the first thing I did was I rolled my clay out to a number 4 on my pasta machine so it's not very thick. And then I'm laying it on my tile and it has my little, what do you call this? Has this little sheet here, and they're perfect because you could bake right on them. And now we're going to do a pendant. So the earrings were these particular cutters, and then I have 3 different sizes here. So I could do a really large one, you know, medium, and then a smaller. I don't need a really big one, so I'm going to go with my next size up from my earrings. Okay, so my earrings are a mirrored pair. And then when you lift it, if you're using this paper, just hold the paper down. And then I want to make sure you see all that air. Push it down, get that air out from underneath, because if you don't, all that's going to do is bubble and it's going to look so just ugly basically when it's being baked. It's going to bubble up and it's going to look terrible. So there is my pendant. And then I have a bunch of shells. So what I'm doing here is taking my shells and I'm breaking them up and doing a mosaic piece. And it is that simple. I'm honestly just breaking them up into smaller pieces, all right? So I like to kind of put them over here so I can see them better. And I'm making sure that I'm getting the shiny sides. If you want your pieces larger, you don't have to break them up. I like them smaller because I think they look nicer. So I really want to go with a pretty mosaic piece. Look how gorgeous that is. Oh, so beautiful. It's almost a shame to break them up, to be quite honest, but I know the results are going to be fabulous. So it's worth it to me. And I'm also using my wax tip. I see a lot of people using tweezers, but the tweezers are a nightmare. So grab yourself a wax tip and save yourself all that trouble. And then just start laying your pieces down and building your mosaic piece. You don't have to press it all down right away. You don't want your pieces to overlap either. You want to kind of leave that little bit of black showing. It's going to look really nice if you do that. If you overlap it, it's kind of going to look a little messier. But if you're going for the messy look, go overlap it. Make the piece your piece. Have fun with it. Just make sure you're getting the shiny part, because if you miss and get the dull part, it's not going to come out very, it's just not going to work well. So like here, you can see it looks shiny, but when I flip it, look how much more shinier. So that is much nicer. And also make sure your shells are not sticking over your pendant or earrings or whatever you're creating. And this is going to be the longest part here because you're going to have to kind of really focus on getting everything lined and up nice and breaking your pieces properly. But just have some fun with it. Enjoy the process. So I'm going to, I like to lay all my bigger pieces out first and then add all my little pieces, because all those pieces that I'm breaking up, they're getting real tiny, and then I'll add all those and it looks really neat. So let me put my hole in right away too, because you don't want to end up covering up your hole with the shell. It'll just give you trouble when you're trying to do your bail. So let me grab my hole puncher put that in there right away. And now I know exactly where to work around. At this point, I'm going to start picking up all my really tiny pieces and start placing them around into the areas that are small and just need to be filled. And you may not think those little pieces are going to make a difference, but they will. They're going to look really awesome. All right, I don't like that one. That one I don't think is shiny enough. So let's get rid of that one. And let's look for a shinier one right here. Just break that up a little bit and stick that right there. I want all my little pieces to make sure they're shining. Okay, so that's what we got. Look how beautiful and simple that was. Wait till we put our resin on, and it's even going to be prettier. I'm just going to find that spot that I want. Right there. All right, so now I'm going to place all of these in my oven, 275. I'm going to bake them for a half hour, and then we will come back and finish these up. All right, guys, so my pieces are done. They're cooling off right now. So the next step I want to do is get my backs ready. So I have this roller. This is also from Aussie's Craft Cutters, and I love this design and thought it would be fabulous. So I had my black clay rolled out to my number 4 on my pasta machine, like I did the front. I'm going to lay some baby powder down. This will keep my roller from sticking. And don't worry, it will come off. And then I'm just going to take my roller and press on it to get a nice deep impression. And there we go. And then I always like to just take a wipey and wipe off all that extra baby powder. I'm not worried about the stuff that's in the impressions. It will come off. I'm not worried about it. I just like to kind of keep it a little bit cleaner. And then I'm going to cut my backs. And lift everything up. All right, let's pop these off. Look how beautiful these came out. I just love these. Now I can see this one is coming loose. So I'm going to put a little bit of my liquid clay on that. You got to be so careful with these. Normally I would resin these right away because of that. But I want to put a back on these, so I'm not going to put resin on them right away. But I'm not going to stress about if a couple come off. I'll just put them right back on. You can put liquid clay down right away, but I was kind of trying to avoid that just because it can become messy sometimes, but it happens. So let's see, this one is going to go on here. So I have my oven baked clay adhesive. I'm going to put them right on the back here. Actually, I'm probably just going to use my clay adhesive to set those back on. Just remember, you know, things do happen sometimes when you're doing your clay. Do not stress over it. I mean, there's worse things in life than a shell falling off. So just don't worry too much about it. And then you're just going to put your back on. And because I pulled it and distorted it a bit when I got it off my tile, I am just going to slowly press it back into place. And I want to try to get my sides nice and smooth. If you get your sides nice and smooth, it's going to save you a lot of time on having to worry about sanding. So I'm kind of a stickler with most of my pieces, not all, but most of them. I'm always trying to make sure my sides are nice and smooth for that reason. Look how cool that looks. And get the inside. You want to make sure your inside especially is smooth, because it's going to be super hard to sand that part. So just kind of take care of that. Make sure that it all looks good. And you want to look at it both angles. Okay, so next, since my shells are different colors, I want to get a little bit of green and purple and my pink and just kind of go over the tops a bit. I just want to make sure this looks like it moved a bit. Let's press that down. All right. And I'm just gonna get my paintbrush and then just kind of go over the areas lightly. My green is coming up like a gold, so I'm not sure how much of that I'm gonna use. Not a fan of that changing colors on me. So let's get rid of that color. We're not gonna use the green. I'm just gonna use my pink and purple. And it's funny because the pink is coming up like a blue. And look how neat that looks. I like that. So it's just going to give us a a little extra on our back. There we go. And then I am going to put this right back on my tile. And then I'm going to put a little bit of my liquid clay or my clay adhesive, maybe. There we go. And I'm gonna put that on there and just stick my shell right back on. And this time it should definitely stay on permanently. Unfortunately, I did not think that it was going to come off, but that was probably one I didn't have pressed down very well, because all the rest seemed to be staying on pretty good. I don't think there's any. Okay, so that's definitely, oh, that's probably from there. All right, so that is my first one. There we go. I'm going to redo my holes, and then I'm going to go and do the rest. I love this roller. I think this roller is so cool. The designs are so perfect to go with this. I like how cool that is. I almost want to put silver on the very top of this. But I'm not going to. And the reason I'm not going to is because sometimes I go a little overboard. And normally I'm okay with that. But sometimes I got to always remember less is better. But I think that's beautiful just the way it is. And it is the back, so it's not going to be a huge deal. So my little pieces on there. Look how beautiful. Is that not gorgeous? When we put that resin on, it's going to look so beautiful. And my very last one. I am so happy with the outcomes of these so far. I'm telling you, as soon as I saw these cutters, I knew I had to put those shells on there. And I'm so glad that I came up with this idea, because normally you just see one design and it's usually the long earrings. And they're beautiful, but you never see the shells on bigger earrings or bigger pendants. And I almost feel like it's a shame, because the shells are so beautiful. So why not put them on a bigger piece? Why just keep them limited to the longer ones? Oh, I gotta put a hole in my other earring. I forgot about that. So I'm kind of squeezing the sides down slightly, just to make sure that they're fitting properly. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is not a mirrored piece. So by it not being a mirrored piece, it's not lining up perfect. So I need to kind of move it around and make it fit as if it was a mirrored piece. So you just gotta kind of play with your clay, and thankfully clay, it's very easy to get it to go where you want it to. And make sure my sides look good. This pendant is going to be gorgeous. So right here you can see that the clay is not lining up. So what I am going to do is get my X-Acto knife, and then I'm just going to clean up those little edges that are sticking out. There we go. Okay, get your little sponge, or not sponge, your silicone tool. Just smooth everything out, and it just lined up nicely that way. So perfect. And I'm going to do my one last mica powder, and then bake it, and we could finish it off completely. I love how this pink is showing up like blue. It's so strange to me, but I love it. I love how it's looking that way. All right. And I'm going to edge my pieces off, so I'm not worrying about getting the edges. So there is our back. So now let's put our holes in. We don't want to forget about that. So take a tool, poke a hole, and then I like to go the opposite direction so it doesn't push my clay away. And then that's going to be easy sanding. And this one, I forgot to poke a hole. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to place these back in my oven. I'm going to bake them again for a half hour, and then we will come back. All right, guys, so my pieces are out of the oven. I did do a quick sand on all the sides. So the next step is to put our resin on. So I have my mirror here. I'm sorry if it's going to blind you. Let me actually put a piece of paper here, because I know that mirror seems to be a real pain. So I'll just put it on paper here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just resin my pieces. And I'm not going to put it on overly thick. And the reason being is I don't want to lose any detail in those shells. So I just basically pull my resin to where I want it to be. So make sure you go a little bit slower if you're new to resin, because you don't want it pouring over to the sides. You want to keep it real nice and to the edge, but not pouring over. So by going a little bit slower, you won't be making any spills, I guess you could say. And wear a pair of gloves if you're new as well, or, well, you should wear gloves all the time, but I'm not going to be touching any of my resin. But you can see I'm just going right around that hole, and I kept it thinner around the hole to make sure it doesn't spill in. But if it does, we just re-drill and we're good to go. But this resin is going to bring out these shells. I can't believe how gorgeous that already looks. All the colors are really coming through. So pretty. I will try to link everything in my description area, you know, anything that I'm using. So my resin, the cutters, the roller. If I forget to link anything, please just ask and I will send you a link for it. I have no problem. I always try to answer my questions that are asked, and I always try to get back to you guys right away. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes, you know, I might be a day late, but I always reply, guys. So don't hesitate asking. I'm noticing I'm missing that. Why am I missing the shell? Where did my shell go? Let me get a shell. It's so weird. I don't know how I missed that. It's so weird. Don't know how I missed it, but it's fixed now. Let me put my resin right on that. All right, after all your resin is on, get your lighter. Oops. And just go over, pop any bubbles that may be there. You always want to make sure you have no bubbles because you don't want to go through all this work and then have bubbles in your resin and ruin your whole piece. And I'll put this under my UV light. All right, guys, look at this. Is that not beautiful? I am so pleased with these. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edge them. I am not going to resin my back. I am going to put a gloss glaze on that. So to resin them, I'm using my chrome marker. And I'm just going to go right around all the edging. And this will basically finish off my piece and make it look more professional. All right, so one of the things I like to do after I edge around, I like to take the very top and just edge the top of my pieces to make it look like it's encased in metal. It just really finishes your piece off beautifully. And I'm not putting a thick layer on. I'm just edging the very sides. And I'll show you when I get finished with this piece. So there, look at the difference. You see how much nicer it looks when you edge it? So very, very pretty. I'm gonna give that a few minutes to dry. I'll do the other two and then we will use our bright tone to do the backs. All right, so my stuff is dry. I'm gonna get my bright tone. I'm gonna stir it up. Just to let you know, if you use bright tone and it's a matte, you have to stir it. Otherwise, your pieces will become shiny. And I know that from experience. I did not realize that I had to stir it every single time. And my pieces started getting shiny. So, stir your, so just make sure you stir it if you're using it to make sure that everything is mixed up nicely and you'll get a nice matte finish. So I'm just going to put my bright tone right on. This dries fairly quick. These are honestly my new favorite pieces. I absolutely love these. I can't wait to wear these. I'm going on a vacation. You won't see this till way after I get back, but I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to take these with me because I just think they're just so beautiful and super easy to do. Okay, so I put my earrings together. Look how gorgeous these look. I love these. I really, really do. I think these are fabulous. I think they just came out so beautiful. All right, so the next thing we got to do is just put our necklace together. And I'm going with a simple rope because I don't have anything fancy right now. So I'm just going to put my jump ring on. I'm going to attach my clasp area here, or not my clasp, my top here. And then I already have the chain on there. And then just close your jump ring and your necklace is complete. And look how beautiful. I really hope that you guys enjoyed creating these pieces with me. If you did, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Bye!